Okie doke. So we are on page 19 in your grammar books. So go to 19. Is there anybody that's still waiting on your books to come in the mail? Okay. Well, Christopher, I know you're just starting up with my class.
Oh, I
So you're
forgot
probably
my
waiting.
grammar.
Uh-oh, go get that. You're going to need that.
Yeah.
I see that, Christopher. So you have your binder. Do you have your grammar book yet?
My mom said I'm only doing the binder.
Oh, okay. So you can just watch this part. That's fine. Okay, so page 19, we're talking about verbs. You guys know about action verbs. Those show action, obviously. But then just a refresher, we talked about this last year,
I
but just a
did.
refresher. Got it?
Hmm.
Okay. We're on 19.
All
Talk
right.
about linking verbs and helping verbs. And those have jobs too. They're different words. This first row right here, though, is the same in both. You probably see that. So let's just review the linking verbs. You can stay muted. Everybody's muted right now. But I want you to read this with me in your room there. But don't unmute because it gets all echoey and stuff. So just stay muted and read this with me, okay? We're looking at linking verbs. So ready, read. Am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been, seem, become, appear, grow, remain, taste, sound, smell, feel, look. Okay, good. And so these last five are the five senses. You probably noticed that. And then those are used to link the subject of the sentence to an adjective, usually. Okay, it's linking the noun or the subject of the sentence to an adjective. And then we're going to look at helping verbs. Their job is a little bit different. They help another verb, so they go right next to another verb. And I want you to read this list too, but notice that first row is exactly the same as the linking verb. So these words can be used either way. You have to just see how it's used in the sentence to see if it's functioning as a linking verb or a helping verb. So let's read this list right here under helping verb. Ready, read. Am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been, have, has, had, do, does, did, may, might, must, can, will, shall, could, would, should. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. You know that one. All right. These go right next to verbs. That's why they're called helping verbs. They go next to an action verb. But every verb has a subject. The subject and verb belong together. So they're a pair. And you know that when we work on this in the book. So here we have subjects, and it is the noun or pronoun that performs the verb action. It tells who or what the clause is about. Sometimes it's a main clause, sometimes it's a who, which clause, and sometimes it's a that clause. I mean, there's all kinds of clauses. So when you see a clause, it has to have a verb, a subject verb pair. To find the subject, you ask who or what is doing the verb. So sometimes it's easier to find the verbs first and then ask who's doing that. And it says only nouns and pronouns can function as subjects. When the subject is a pronoun, it will be one of the subjective case pronouns. And you can kind of see that word subject right there in the word subjective. That helps you know that pronoun is the subject. That's why it's called a subjective case pronoun. And these pronouns are I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they, who, or which. Notice who or which is in there. Sometimes, a lot of times actually, it's who or which that's the subject in the who which clause. It doesn't matter what verb it is, if it's action, linking, helping, it doesn't matter. You're still going to label it V for verb. Okay. And same with subject. If it's a pronoun, if it's a noun, it doesn't matter. It's still going to label it S as a subject. So here's the example at the very bottom of the page. Timmy climbed into the basket. He was a young mouse. Timmy had decided to take a nap. All right, Timmy is the subject, obviously, here. And then you can ask yourself, what is Timmy doing? He climbed. And then he, what is he doing? He was a young mouse. This one is more of a linking verb, linking the subject to the adjective. And then the last one, the subject is Timmy had decided. That's a helping verb because it's right next to decided. They're together. So it's helping the word decided. Timmy had decided to take a nap. Okay, let's keep going. A little bit more on the back here. This is page 20. And then we have the strong verb. And the strong verb is not on your dress up list yet, but it is coming like we had it last year. So that strong verb is always going to be an action verb. It's never going to be a linking or a helping verb. Okay, those are not considered strong verbs. So just remember that when it comes on our checklist. Make sure that you don't use a linking or a helping verb, but it's got to be an action verb for a strong verb. And it shows what someone or something, what's happening in the sentence. So here's something to think about. It says, think about it. According to the verb definition, there are three categories of verbs. We just talked about this: action, linking, or helping. Every clause has an action verb or a linking verb. When a helping verb helps another action verb or a linking verb, the two verbs together are called the verb phrase. So, for example, here's an example of an action verb. Timmy climbed into the basket. That's easy. Climbed is telling what he's doing. That's an action verb. Look down here. Timmy felt sleepy. So this is a linking verb between the subject, Timmy, and how he was feeling, which was sleepy. That's an adjective, right? So that's linking those words together. And then here we've got a helping and an action. So these two together is a verb phrase. Timmy had climbed. Because they're together, it's considered a verb phrase. So Timmy had climbed into the basket. And then if you have a helping and a linking, that's also a verb phrase. Timmy did feel sleepy. Timmy did feel. So we have the helping and the linking feel. So that's just different ways to use verbs. In this book, like I said, you're still going to label it with a V for the verb and S for the subject. All right, let's go to the practice page, page 21. Does anybody feel like reading the sentence today? Page 21. Anybody want to read it? Okay, London, thank you.
He crept into the basket and was soon asleep. It was
Good.
perfect.
It was perfect. Sorry, I cut you off there. Yes, good. There's two sentences. I was trying to figure out why that line was there. I think there's a mark on my plastic here. Anyways, the vocabulary is crept. That's like the past tense of like creeping around. You know, when you creep around, you tiptoe very quietly. So he crept into the basket. He was trying to be sneaky. So let's check vocabulary. Go ahead and find that one article. And then Megan, when you're ready, where's the noun? There's just one.
That's it.
Good, basket. Very good. And then there's two pronouns. Christopher, where are the pronouns?
It and he.
Good. It and he. I'll come back to the prepositional phrase, but Julio, how about the subject verb pairs? We've got two subjects in here. Let's look at the first sentence. Who's the first sentence talking about?
Um,
It's a pronoun. So what's the pronoun that that sentence is talking about?
he
Yeah, so he is the subject. And then what is he doing?
creeping.
Creeping or crept, that's the verb. He crept, but he also did something else. There's another linking verb in there. Do you see that in the first sentence?
It, maybe? No, never mind.
No. Remember that list of linking verbs. It's not into, it's not and, It's not soon. It's not asleep.
Was?
There you go. Was. Remember that connects the subject to what's another part of the sentence. So good. And then how about the second sentence? What's the subject here, Julio?
Um, what? No, wait, not was. It?
Yes, good. Subject is it, and the verb is it was or perfect? Which one is the verb? Was or perfect?
What?
There you go. Was. So it was, they go together. And this is an adjective, so it's a linking verb here. And then he crept and was up at the other sentence. Very good. All right, so London, what about the prepositional phrase?
Um, he crept into the basket.
You're close. It doesn't start with he crept, though. It's got to start with a preposition. So
Into the basket.
there you go. Into is a preposition. And then if you ask yourself, into what? Into the basket. So good. Into the basket is the prepositional phrase. If that helps you to save it to last, you can do that. When you do your homework, just do that one last. All right. And then Sydney, um, what about the capitals? What capitals should we put in here?
He
Yes.
and it.
And it. And then if I were to say, Sydney, if I were to say the last sentence, it was perfect. What kind of end mark would we put there?
A quotation mark.
You're close. It's called exclamation mark, like that. Quotation is if somebody's speaking. Exclamation is when you're like making a point, right? Showing excitement. It was perfect. All right, you guys, good job. Any questions about grammar today? Okay, I see you shaking your head. Okay. Your homework will be the next 3 pages, like we usually do. Okay, and let's get out your binders. You guys wrote about Chuck Wagon Grub this week. Chuck Wagon Grub. So I did get a chance to grade the ones that turned it in. So hopefully you had a chance to look at your Google Classroom, and if not, you can check it later. But I have time for 2 people if you want to share what you wrote. You can share your paper today. Does anybody feel like reading Chuck Wagon Grub today? You guys aren't jumping up and down. You don't have to. It's okay. All right, that's okay. Maybe next week you guys can read what you put, because this story that we're coming up on is going to be a little bit more creative. I'll tell you that. So, Olivia's coming in. So let me tell her where we're at here. Go ahead and go to, well, we're going to put away Chuck Wagon Grub. Let's make sure to do that first. Hold on, I got a lot of stuff in here I got to put away. There's a yellow page for Chuck Wagon Grub, I think. Let me double check here. Sorry, I've got a mess right here. What do we got? What do we got here? I've got a mess. Chuck Wagon Grub is right here at 31. Okay, we don't have a yellow page in Chuck Wagon Grub, so just go ahead and put Chuck Wagon Grub away in your finished binder. Hi, Olivia. I recorded the grammar for you so you can watch it later, okay? We're moving on to the binder. So you can go ahead and put away check, wag, and grub in whatever finished folder or binder that you have. Go ahead and put that away. And then you can get out the next week, which is week 4. And it is called The Donkey and the Load of Salt. The Donkey and the Load of Salt. So it's behind that first tab, which is the source text tab. So go ahead and get that out, the donkey and the load of salt. And then you're going to need 2 pieces, actually just 1 piece of lined paper. Julio, did you have a question?
Source text because I went behind the source text tab and I can't find anything.
I did. It's probably because you got your binder um, later than when we set it up. So what you can do actually, Julio, is go to where it says source text and take that tab out of your binder, and then I'll tell you where to actually place it. You can actually take the whole tab out. That goes for anybody else that hasn't moved that yet. That needs to go in a certain spot.
Oh, wait, I think I found the spot. It's the first. Oh, yeah, I found it.
Okay, so it goes like right after page 8 in your binder. Put that tab there, and then all the stories should be behind it. Did you figure it out?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So week 4 is 2, 3, 4 pages, and then you need a piece of lined paper. So make sure you get lined paper out too. And then when you're all set, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Good. I see that, Megan. Okay. Christopher. And Olivia, do you have your binder yet or not yet? Okay. Did your mom print you what you need for today? Okay, good. So you have that. And do you have lined paper too? This one? Do you have some of these?
I'm gonna go get one.
Okay, go ahead and get a lined paper. How about you, Sydney? Are you ready? Okay. And then London, are you all set? Okay, good. I got you now. So she can go get that really quick. This time, go ahead and go to the yellow page first. This is the story sequence chart. You guys remember that from last year? Story sequence chart. If you remember, give me a thumbs up. We talked about this last year. Okay, good. Some of you, I see a thumb. Some of you are like, I don't know. I slept since then. How am I supposed to remember? Okay, well, that's okay if you don't remember, because I think when we talk about this, you'll be like, oh, yeah. In a story sequence chart, by the way, I used to talk about Kung Fu Panda. That was always my reference for this. Remember that? And I would say, oh, I love the first one because there's Po and he's playing with the action figures toward the beginning of the movie. And it's a cool way that they introduce the characters of the story about Kung Fu Panda and Po. So I like that. And then you can see out his bedroom window. You can see the shapes of the roofs of the buildings, and you can tell they're in China. And it's just a neat way to introduce characters. But this is always the first thing when you are telling a story or a narrative writing. You introduce the characters and the setting. And so you answer these questions in the beginning. Who is in the story? What do they like? When does it happen? Where do they live or go? So this is what we focus on in that first paragraph. In the middle paragraph, we talk about the conflict and the problem. You guys remember that? Conflict and problem. And that's like in Kung Fu Panda. So the good news is Po learns how to do Kung Fu. The bad news is he gets in a major fight with Kai Lung or Tai Lung. Tai Lung, I think it is. Anyway, so they have this big battle, right? And we don't know if Po's gonna die. And so we're like, he's got this problem. He's in this big, big fight. What do they need or want? What do they think? What do they say and do? And then down here, the third paragraph is the climax or the resolution. And that's when we have that little mountain peak where the guy is at the top and he falls one side and he falls into spikes. Remember how we drew that? And the other side, He's like falling into a fluffy cloud and he's happy and saved. So we don't know how the story's going to end. And that's how is the need resolved? What happens after? And what is the message or the lesson? So that's where we wrap it all up in that third paragraph. So that's the basic format for telling a story. It's true for a book or a movie or even just a story that you write. So following this format is basically how we write narrative stories. So let's do our lined paper next. We're going to get this set up and then we'll read the story. Okay. So go ahead and get your clean lined paper and your name goes here first and last. And today's date is 9/30/25. And this story is called The Donkey and the Load of Salt. So go ahead and skip a line and we'll put the title here. Later, when you write this story, you'll change the title. But for now, we're going to keep it the same. Load of salt. Notice in my title here, I have the capitalized because it's the first word. And then I have all the keywords like donkey, load, and salt. All the other words are lowercase. So try to keep that in mind when you're writing titles. The first letter, the first word is always capital, and then after that is usually the keywords. Okay, and then under that, we're going to put SSC. Remember that? Story Sequence Chart. Here we go. SSC instead of KWO this time. And then to set up this chart, I'm going to have you skip a line and then you're going to draw a line down, but kind of closer to the left side, closer to this red line, but it's going to go down like that. A little bit closer to this side where the holes are in your paper. Leave more space on the right because this is where we're going to actually build the outline on the right side. About right there. Not all the way down, but roughly there. And then remember, we draw that line, and then on the right side of the line, on this right side, this is where we set up our keyword outline. So let's do Roman numeral 1 at the top, and then we're just going to do 1, 2, 3. Remember, move over a little bit for those. Okay, and then skip a line. Don't worry, I'll slow down in a second. Skip a line, number Roman 2, 1, 2, 3, skip a line, Roman numeral 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and I'll stop there. Give me a thumbs up when you got that. Okay, okay, okay. So while you're finishing that, this week you guys are going to do 3 paragraphs, but they're not very long. They're pretty short. So you're going to do 3 paragraphs this week. Got it, Olivia? Okay, I see that, London. Okay, got that. It looks like you're almost done, Megan. So keep going on your numbers. And then we're going to draw lines across. We're going to trace those blue lines just right above the Roman numerals. So right above Roman numeral 1, just draw it all the way to the edge of the paper. Here, I'll zoom out so you can see that. And then right above Roman numeral 2, all the way to the edge. And then the same for 3, all the way to the edge. And then wherever the bottom is, I like to do it all the way to the edge too. Notice my lines aren't perfect. We're not looking for perfection here. Like I messed up right there, but that's okay. You get the idea. We're making a chart. Now we got it. And we reviewed that yellow page a minute ago, but raise your hand if you remember, what do we talk about at the first paragraph? What are we introducing here in the first paragraph? When you write a story like a narrative, do you guys remember what goes first? Remember, Christopher?
Who, what, when?
Yes, but what are we talking about though? You guys don't remember?
Who is in the story?
Yes, what is that called though? What are those called? London?
The character,
Yes, I knew you knew it, Christopher. You were like, couldn't remember the word. Characters. And then remember slash, you're gonna have to write kind of small. Setting. If you have to use the next line, that's okay. You can use both lines. Characters and setting. That's what we talk about in the first paragraph. We have to introduce them first, because if we just jump into what's happening, it's going to be confusing. So we got to tell who's in the story, where are they at? So we're going to answer these questions: who and where, and a little bit of what. Like, what are the characters about? So we're going to answer these types of questions inside this first paragraph. These are just our notes on the side here. Okay, and after we introduce the characters and setting, what happens in the middle of the story? Who remembers what we put here in the middle box? Julio.
The conflict and problem.
Good, yes. Conflict slash problem. Now you're remembering. And this is where we talk about what. What does the character need? What does the character want? What is happening? What's the problem? Like in Kung Fu Panda, it was okay, Kai or Tai Lung wanted to take over China, the city, and he wanted to be in charge, and he was not a nice character. Then here, the third paragraph, what do we put here? Sydney, do you remember what goes at the end? The last paragraph? No? Anybody remember London?
climax, and revolution.
There you go. Climax slash resolution. This is where we answer how, like how it was resolved. And then we can draw our little mountain peak here with our guy at the top. And this side, remember, has spikes. You guys remember this? This side has a nice fluffy cloud. And then we draw these little arrows, like, is he going to go this way or is he going to go that way? Like, and you could do like little marks like this, like he's teetering back and forth. He's like, whoa, whoa, am I going to live? Am I going to die? What's going to happen? I don't know. And if you think about like Kung Fu Panda and he's having this epic battle, we don't know if Poe's gonna die or if he's gonna defeat the bad guy, which we do know now because we've seen it. But that's the part of the story. When you first watched that movie, I bet you wondered that, like, this doesn't look good for Poe. But then we find out, oh wait, he has the magic power. And he is the chosen one. Okay, we got this all set up now. Let's look at the story itself. So that's going to be on page 41. So go ahead and find page 41. And you're going to notice it says attributed to Aesop. So this is an Aesop's fable. These are made up stories. They're not real. These are not facts. These are just made up stories. And a lot of times we have animals in the story, and this one has a donkey. But the most important thing to remember about these Aesop fables is they teach us a lesson, like a life lesson. So be thinking of what lesson we can learn from this story. Does anybody feel like reading the story today? Anybody feel like reading? Okay, London. So everybody else can follow along, and London's gonna read. It's called The Donkey and the Load of Salt.
A merchant, driving his donkey homeward from the seashore with a heavy load of salt, came to a river crossed by a shallow ford. They had crossed this river many times before without accident, but this time the donkey slipped and fell when halfway over, and when the merchant at last got him to his feet, much of the salt had melted away. Delighted to find how much lighter his burden had become, the donkey finished the journey very merrily. Next day, the merchant went for another load of salt. On the way home, the donkey, remembering what had happened at the ford, purposely let himself fall into the water, and he again got rid of most of his burden. The angry merchant immediately turned about and drove the donkey back to the seashore, where he loaded him with 2 great baskets of sponges. At the ford, the donkey again tumbled over, but when he had scrambled to his feet, it was a very
Disconsolate.
disconsolate donkey that dragged himself homeward under a load 10 times heavier than before.
Okay, good. And that word disconsolate, that might be a new word for you, but can anybody take a guess at what that means after you heard the story? What do you think disconsolate means? How do you think the donkey felt at the end?
Like ashamed of himself.
Good. Ashamed, or maybe he regretted what he did. Good, London. All right, you guys. So, what can we learn from this story? Who has a life lesson that we could learn other than London? I know she knows, but does anybody else think of what can we learn from this donkey? What can we learn about life? Thinking, thinking, thinking. Well, okay, you got one? Okay, go ahead, Megan. What do you think?
Life is hard.
Okay, that's true. That is good, and that's true. I mean, it's not good that life is hard, but that is true. So this donkey, let's review. A merchant is somebody who sells goods, like at a farmer's market type of thing. Okay, so he is selling salt. And this is an old story. So this is back before we had stores and, buildings and things like that. So he's got this salt that he's selling. And he loads up the donkey. The donkey's tired and carrying a lot of salt, but they're strong animals. But anyway, he slipped and fell. The first time it was an accident. But you know how salt is when you put it in water? It dissolves. There's no way to get it back. It dissolves into the water and you can't really get that salt back. So he lost the salt, but he also lost his way to make money. So the merchant wasn't very happy about that, but he was going to let it be okay and we're going to go get more salt. But the second time, the donkey's like, wait, last time I fell into the water and my load was lighter, so let me do that again. So then he does it again. And this time, the second time, the merchant gets mad. And he's like, ah, there goes another. I don't even know how much money it was, but a lot of money. He's like, I'm losing money. This donkey is making me lose more money now. So he wanted to teach the donkey a lesson and he took him back. But this time he filled the baskets with sponges. And if you know anything about sponges, when they're dry, they're super lightweight, right? But as soon as they get wet, they get heavier. So you can imagine a basket, like 2 baskets full of sponges, and then they soak up all that water. And now he's like, whoa, what happened to me? I can't even stand up, so heavy. And he was disconsolate, which means he regretted that decision. He regretted falling into the water on purpose. And then it was 10 times heavier than before. So knowing all that, what's the lesson we can learn from that? What can we learn about that in life? Maybe don't cheat. He was kind of cheating by getting rid of the salt so he could walk better. Like he was taking a shortcut, like he was making his life better by kind of cheating in a sense, right? What do you think, London?
Um, a lesson could be, um, if you work, then you should work, um, hard.
I like that. You should work hard and don't take the easy way out, right? We know that it's true in everything, even your homework for school. If you do a sloppy job, a fast job, your mom's probably going to say, okay, you need to do that again. That's sloppy. What do you think, Julio? You got another one?
Not to take advantage of things.
Yep. not to take advantage of things or people. Like he's thinking, I'll just make it easier on myself. I don't care what the merchant thinks, right? Well, he cared at the end because he's like, oh, whoa, I don't want to do that again. He learned his lesson, I think. All right, so back to our chart here. We're going to use this story and fill in the chart. So let's look at the first paragraph. We're talking about characters and settings. So I'll start with Julio. Who's the first character? There's a couple of them. Who do we learn about first in the story?
The merchant and the donkey.
The merchant and the donkey. So let's go ahead and start by putting merchant. Remember, a merchant is somebody who sells something. So he's selling salt. And as we're building this SSC, you guys can either copy what I put or you can change it up a little bit. It doesn't have to be exactly like mine, okay? So if you think of something different, that's okay. But he's driving his donkey homeward from the seashore. So before we introduce the donkey, though, let's talk about where the merchant is, Julio. Where is he in that first sentence?
It says about the home. It says homeward and seashore.
Yeah, so he's driving his donkey homeward, means he's on his way home, but he's at the seashore in the beginning. So let's use that word, seashore. That just means like next to the water, but on the land. So seashore. And he's getting ready to take his donkey home with the load of salt. So we can use the word like transport because what he's doing is taking the salt from one place to another place. Actually, transport would actually work. So we could put that as what he's doing here, transport. He's transporting and he's transporting the salt. So I'm going to put an S here. Maybe I'll circle that S and we can circle the S in the title like we did before, to help us remember that. So I have merchant, seashore, transport, salt. That's what the merchant is doing. That's where he's at. And then Christopher, who was the next character we're talking about that after the merchant?
Donkey.
Yes, the donkey. Let's talk about him next because we got to introduce the characters here. And what about the donkey? What does he have on him? This is for Christopher.
Salt.
Salt. And what is the salt in on him? Because it doesn't really say at the beginning here, but later we find out how he's carrying the salt. It's in these baskets. Remember that part? I think it's later when it talks about the baskets. But he's carrying the salt in these. If you look at this little picture right here at the bottom, you see those little baskets that are hanging on him on either side. So we can just put carrying and then baskets and then S. So the donkey is carrying baskets of salt. And then what are they doing, Megan? So we got the merchant, he's at the seashore, he's got the salt on the donkey, and they start moving. Where do they go first?
Beach?
No, it doesn't really talk about the beach, but it does talk about this river, right? They came to a river crossed by a shallow ford. And by the way, ford is, you probably heard that word before when you talk about trucks, but this isn't a truck. It's not the Ford truck, but it's actually what you call the shallow part of a river. That's an old-fashioned term. We don't use it very often, but it's called a ford. But what was he crossing, Megan?
Crossing a river?
Yes. And it says had crossed this river many times before without accident, but this time the donkey slipped and fell when halfway over. So we're going to talk about how they crossed this river. So let's put crossed river. And then maybe the word many. And then how can we do times? Megan, what do you think? How can we show a picture or
A
abbreviate?
clock.
Ah, plot. Good idea. Draw a little clock here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, it's good enough. It's close. Just little numbers in there and then little hands on a clock. Or you can draw a digital clock. Good. All right. This is where, okay, they start to cross, and then I'm going to have Sydney. What happens as they cross this river?
The donkey falls into the river.
Yeah, so how can we write that for number 3? What 3 words can we use? You're right.
Maybe trip.
Okay. Or actually, it says slipped.
Slip.
Maybe, okay, who slipped though? Was it the merchant or the donkey?
Donkey.
Okay. So do you want to put a D for donkey or spell out donkey?
The D.
Okay. Let's do D, slipped, and then what?
Halfway.
Halfway next, and then what?
Um,
Probably fell, huh? Probably need
yeah.
that word fell. Yeah. Because that, and we could even draw like the water here. So basically, we want to make sure to say how he fell into the water. Good. And then Olivia, when you're done with that part, I'll zoom in a little bit here. Um, what happened when he fell into the water? What happened to the salt, Olivia? We're talking about what now? The problem here.
It dissolved.
It dissolved. Good. So we could put salt or S, dissolve. That's a good word. This is the problem, right? So the salt dissolved. What happened to his load after it dissolved?
It got smaller.
It got smaller or lighter. That's the word. So like that's the opposite of something heavy. So it's like it was heavy and then it became lighter. So his load became lighter. So we could say dissolved and maybe put load and then lighter. That's important to remember because for the donkey, he didn't have a problem yet. I mean, he fell, that was a problem, so he was wet. But then his problem was like, oh, this is great. I don't mind. And remember, it says he was delighted to find out how much lighter, so he was happy about that. So I'm gonna actually draw a little bit a happy face here to remind me, oh yeah, he was happy about that. It's a little happy face right here. Okay. And then Olivia, if you're there, I don't see you at the moment. Oh, okay. After his load became lighter, what happened the next day in the story? Right here.
He slipped on purpose so the load could be lighter again.
Okay, we're not quite to that part yet, but the next day, after the first time he fell, what happened the next day? Right here.
They went for another load of salt.
Okay, so we could say, how could we put that in the outline here? We can use like next day, or how can we put that the next day the merchant went back for another load? How can we put that here? Remember, you can use 3 words, so you could put like next day. That's 2 words.
Load salt.
Load salt, yeah. Or we could use the word back. Like next day he went back. Or for day, we could do a sun. We could save a word there. You guys can put what you think here, okay? Maybe next, I'll do a sun. Next day, back. And then load, and then S. There we go. Next day, back, load S. You were on the right track, Olivia. Okay. And then after that, back to Julio. So he remembers then, right? He's like, okay, here I am again carrying more salt. So Julio, what happens the second time when he's carrying another load of salt? What happens?
He tips over on purpose to
Yes. Get rid of the salt? Yes. Good. By the way, there was a great ly word in here. Did you guys see that? Right here. I wonder if we should put it in our outline so we can use it later. What is this one, Julio, right here?
And then there's merrily before that, but we already did that sentence.
This one. Can you see?
Purposely?
Yeah, purposely. That's a good one. That means he did it on purpose, right? Purposely. So we could say purposely. Donkey, we'll do D. What should we put for our other 2 words there, Julio? Purposely, donkey.
Uh, pur purposely? D. You already put the D?
Yeah,
Uh, fell.
fell. Good.
Um, fell over. I don't know.
Yeah. What about like rid? Remember that part right here? Fell into the water and he again got rid of most of his burden. What if we did like rid and then salt? Like he got rid of the salt.
Oh yeah.
You like that? Okay. Rid S. Purposely D fell rid S. He got rid of the salt. That's what that means. Got rid of it. It dissolved again. All right. So Christopher, then how does the merchant feel now? This is the second time he fell, destroyed the salt, got rid of the salt. How does he feel, the merchant feel at this point?
Angry.
Angry, yes. So let's put merchant angry. And then Christopher, what does he do after that? Here, where he says, it's the beginning of that second paragraph. Look on yours. I'll leave this here for people who are writing this down. But the beginning of the second paragraph, he got angry, but what did he do?
Immediately turn around.
And he turned back, right? So I'll just put back. Merchant, angry, back. So he wanted to go back and get more salt. This time, the first time is an accident, right? It's like when you do something wrong and you get in trouble. The first time it's like your parent says, don't do that again. And you realize, okay, yeah, I probably shouldn't do that again. But then if you do it again, then you really get in trouble, right? You might have to have a timeout, or you get grounded, or you can't do something you love to do, or you get in trouble, right? The first time it's like, oh, okay, I didn't realize that. I won't do that again. But then the second time you do it, you're going to get in more trouble. I know it. So here's all the problems here. What's going on with the donkey, the merchant? Donkey has a problem, he's in trouble. The merchant has a problem, he's mad. This is where we're going to start getting into how does this get resolved? So after that, I think it's Megan's turn. After the merchant goes back and he goes back to get, well, he doesn't get salt this time. What does he get this time? What does he put in the baskets this time?
Where are we?
So right here, second paragraph, after he's angry, what does he put in the baskets after he goes back? Instead of getting salt, he gets something different this time. What does he get? Right here, where he loaded him with two great baskets of. Olivia sees it. Go ahead, Olivia. Uh-oh, you froze for a second.
Oh, I see it. Now I do.
I see you saying it, Olivia, but what is it, Megan? Do you know that word?
Dove?
Sponge.
No, wait, that's drove.
Right here, sponges. It starts, I saw
Oh,
Olivia
yeah, I
say
see
it.
it now.
Sponges.
Sponges.
Yes. So this time he has, so the merchant, let's put merchant, has an idea. Let's put idea, right? He has an idea and he gets sponges. You know what those are, right, Megan?
Yeah,
Yeah,
my mom moves it for dishes.
dishes, cleaning, or scrubbing the counter or things like that. So we use sponges. And when you don't use them for a while, they dry up. They're lightweight. But as soon as you put water on them, it just like soaks up. It's like a SpongeBob SquarePants, right? Sometimes he fills up with something, I don't know, water or something, and he gets super puffy. But oh, I know what it is. When he gets on shore sometimes and he dries up, just thinking about SpongeBob. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but all right,
I
good.
also feel like we should put angry face.
Yeah, you can do an angry face. Yeah, because he is pretty angry now because it happened twice. So Olivia, after the merchant put sponges in there, then what does the donkey do? Right here. At the ford, the donkey again. Oh, your microphone's not working for some reason. But I think you said it. I saw your mouth move. Tumbled over. Yeah. So let's put D, tumbled over again. I'm going to help you with this last part because we're getting close to the end here. So, and this time, the sponges, I'm going to write this in. You can copy me here. The sponges soaked the water, right? And it was how much heavier, Sydney, did it say? How many times heavier was it in the story? Toward the end there.
10 times heavier.
Yes, so 10x heavier. And I kind of like that new vocabulary word, which is disconsolate. That just means he regretted it. He felt bad. He was like, "Man, what did I do? This was a big mistake." So let's use that vocabulary word disconsolate. Oops, C-O. Solate. The donkey was disconsolate. That's how you would say it. And he learned his lesson. All right. I had to go kind of fast there at the end. I'll leave that there so you guys can copy it. And while you're working on that last part right here, I have sponges soaked 10 times heavier, disconsolate, learned lesson. This is the donkey. I might squeeze a D in here so we know we're talking about the donkey was disconsolate. So you're going to use your story sequence chart to write your version of the story. Now, you can add little details if you want, like you can give the merchant a name and you can give the donkey a name. I'm okay with that. I want you to stick with the same plot though. So the plot's going to stay the same, the theme here about the salt and, about the sponges and all that. So you're going to use this. They can be short paragraphs. But if you want to add names, that's okay. If you want to name this merchant and the donkey, that's okay. Don't forget about your checklist. That's super important. And you have two things for each paragraph. You have an ly adverb and a who which clause. They should be in each of the 3 paragraphs here. And then don't forget you can give it a new name, give it a new title. Okay? All right, you guys, we're done. If you're still writing this down, I'll leave it here for a second. But if you're done, you can go. I'll see you next week. Have a good week, everybody. Bye. Do you have a question, Julio?
Bye.
Also, in the first paragraph, slipped, fell over accidentally.
Oh, that's another good ly. Yes, yes. In fact, let's make a note at the bottom here. Accidentally. That's a good one. A good ly. That way you can remember to use it later. Good thinking. I like how you think ahead on where you could put those things. All right, bye, you guys. See you next week.
Wait,
Bye.
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 Good job today. See you next week.
bye.
Bye, Julio. Bye,
Bye.
Megan. Bye, Olivia. See you guys next week.